thank you guys for being here. Kind of tying off of what Darren and David said is, it's an important day, just not necessarily just being signing day, but Veterans Day as well. And so thanking those who've kind of made it possible for us to continue to do what we do. So just a special day in and of itself. But, kind of moving forward and talking about our incoming class for next fall is we have a pretty talented group of young women that are going to be joining our roster that we are very much looking forward to adding. Thanking my staff, both Drew and Kel spent a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of hours having conversations with these girls, traveling to watch them recruit, missing out on just other opportunities, whether we were busy in the spring or family events that, my staff made decisions to make sure that we were making the connections that we needed to with this group. And it's a little bit of a larger class than we've had in the past, so we're adding 5 this year. And typically we've tried to keep it to 3 or 4, but our biggest focus with what we wanted to do was add a lot of experience, raise our level of play, and that was across the board in almost every position. So this year we're going to be adding an outside, Morgan Middleton from Iowa, who's a phenomenal player, all-around 6 rotation type kid who is powerful from the attack and is just going to add a lot of experience and competitiveness to her position on the pin. She competes at an extremely high level. Volleyball is in her family, and her level of play is going to add a lot of positive things to what our program needs in that position. Abby Stark out of Wilmer, Minnesota. She is a phenomenal back row kid who can honestly cover any aspect of the court. She defends, she runs her offense when she's in those situations, and she competes, and she makes everyone else around her better, and she's extremely fun to watch. We're pretty fortunate to start the recruiting process with her early, prior to the rules changing and prior to, obviously, COVID happening. And so, we're really excited about the addition of her to our roster this coming year. Next, we got Abby Moe. So she's a middle out of Eagan, Minnesota, and plays for their high school team as well. Extremely competitive kid, positive kid who is just brings a lot of excitement to what she does in her play, and she works extremely hard in the roles that we've seen her compete at. Family background, she has family that lives in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Her grandparents live in Fargo, and so for her to come here is kind of a lifelong thing for her, where she bleeds bison, she understands traditions, understands the culture, and so she's going to come in, going to have to train her a little bit, but she's going to come in and have a lot of excitement to what we're doing with this class and add some depth in the middle position. Next, we got Alexis Bowling out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, who is an all-around kid. She plays middle and club. Right now, her high school's team has her playing on the pin, but she's a competitive kid who competes. You throw her in any type of situation, regardless of what it is, and whether it's in a limited role or whether it's depending on her, she finds a way to get the job done, and she's going to do whatever it takes to compete at a really high level. And, we're really fortunate that we're going to be adding her to our roster and that she's going to be a part of our program coming in next fall. And then lastly, our last piece, rounding out our offense, is going to be Regan Riley out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Multi-sport kid who, and family-wise, comes from an extremely high level of play. How she competes, how she trains, how she carries herself off court. She's the type of kid that you want in our program, and we're really fortunate to be adding her to our class and to be able to be in a position to run our offense. high-level IQ, her level of play, front row, back row, her vision, and just her skill set is extremely high. And adding it to that setting position, I know for myself, I'm really looking forward to being able to work with her and train her and get to her to compete at an extremely high level with our program. But like I said, my staff did a phenomenal job in the process in recruiting these kids, and I know a little bit long-winded, so I apologize for that, but, obviously trying to take the positives out of everything, so.
And I wanted to ask, and this is the first cycle now with St. Thomas into the mix, so, and obviously you hit the cities hard. Did you run to them? Did you get an experience like, okay, this is how it's going to be now going forward?
St. Thomas was almost after the fact on when we were talking with this class in particular. But it is, it's going to be another challenge for us recruiting out of the similar area and competing for some of those kids. But, the direction that we're at and being able to move forward with our program and the establishment that we have, I think is going to help us in a lot of ways. St. Thomas is going to be a really good and competitive program. They just have to go through some steps before they get there. But, we are going to see not just ourselves, but other teams within our conference that, St. Thomas is going to start pulling some of those kids. And as you see within our recruiting class this year, us being able to expand into some of these other areas is definitely what we have been trying to do and working towards to get in some different regions.
You are expanding. You're getting Wisconsin, Iowa, obviously Minnesota. How important is that to the future of this program to make sure that you can develop some footholds in those areas?
It's one thing as we were looking for this class that we knew needed to be a priority. The last couple of classes, with where we're at, we're fortunate enough to get primarily Minnesota, North Dakota type kids. But for us to be able to get to some different regions and their level of play and their style of play, it brings a different dynamic to what it is that we're looking for to balance out what our roster is going to be. And just the talent level with what we have is it's really high level. And so getting into Wisconsin, we haven't been able to do as consistent. Getting into Iowa, getting into South Dakota, who produce top-level kids that go to other programs, it says a lot about where we're at and the process that we're going and the movement that we're making.